Good day, all, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're discussing the significant changes to visa conditions for visa holders of the temporary skilled shortage subclass 482 visa, the temporary work skilled subclass 457 visa, and the skilled employer sponsored regional provisional subclass 494 visa. These changes are part of the Australian government's migration strategy aimed at addressing workers' exploitation and improving labor market mobility for temporary migrants. Let's dive into the details. One of the most notable changes is the extended time visa holders now have to find employment if they cease working with their current sponsoring employer. Previously, visa holders had very limited time to find a new sponsor or had to leave Australia. However, from the 1st of July, the revised conditions allow relevant visa holders to stop working with their sponsoring employer for up to 180 days at a time, a maximum of 365 days across their entire visa period. Another important change is the freedom to work for other employers. This means that visa holders can work in any occupation while searching for a new sponsor. This flexibility helps them financially support themselves during this period. However, it is crucial to note that visa holders cannot work for another employer or in another occupation until they have ceased working with their current sponsoring employer. While employed by the current sponsor, they must continue working in their nominated occupation. Sponsors are required to notify the Department of Home Affairs within 28 days of changes to a sponsored visa holder's employment circumstances. This includes if they cease sponsoring the visa holder or if the visa holder resigns from their role. So let's quickly review the old visa conditions compared to the new ones. Starting off with condition 8107, which is applicable to the subclass 457 visa. The previous condition, visa holders could not cease employment for more than 60 consecutive days, work in an occupation other than the nominated one, or work for a business other than their sponsoring employer. The new condition reads, visa holders can cease employment with their sponsor for up to 180 days at a time or 365 days across the visa period and work in any occupation with any employer after stopping work with their sponsoring employer. Now on to condition 8607, which is applicable for the subclass 482 visa. The previous condition, visa holders could not cease employment for more than 60 consecutive days, work in an occupation other than the nominated one, or work for a business other than the sponsoring employer. The new condition reads, visa holders can cease employment with their sponsor for up to 180 days at a time or 365 days across the visa period and work in any occupation with any employer after stopping work with their sponsoring employer. And finally, condition 8608. This applies to the 494 visas. Previous conditions read, visa holders could not cease employment for more than 90 consecutive days, work in an occupation other than the nominated one, or work for any business other than the sponsoring employer. The new condition reads, visa holders can cease employment with their sponsor for up to 180 days at a time or 365 days across the visa period and work in any occupation with any employer after stopping work with their sponsoring employer. These changes are positive, common sense initiatives aimed at reducing worker exploitation for temporary employer sponsored visa holders. Previously, visa holders only had 60 days to find a new sponsor, leave the country, or apply for another visa to avoid breaching their conditions. Now, these amendments provide a fairer system, reducing anxiety and allowing additional time to secure new employment, whilst also permitting them to work and financially support themselves during this period. Now, if you have any questions or require any further clarifications on all of these changes discussed here, feel free to reach out. Stay informed and take advantage of these new opportunities. If you require assistance or guidance with your Australian visa, a migration pathway, or any other immigration matter, connect with us using the contact details on screen. If you found this information valuable, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more updates on immigration policies and other insightful content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.